I wasn't a Christian when we were married. I had been raised in a Free Methodist church and had walked away from it when I was in the Marines. And she knew that. I didn't know much about her beliefs. I didn't ask her. I didn't care. It wasn't until years later I found out. And so when our first child came, 3 months before, or about 6 months before she was born, when Barb was diagnosed as being pregnant, she was also diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. We knew there had been something wrong with her. She had had problems before I met her, but we didn't know what it was. And the first question that was given to us was, your wife has multiple sclerosis, do you want to have an abortion? And we knew that we couldn't do that. If God had given us this child, and this was our only shot, that we were going to see this through. And so we went through with it. And we did well, and cutting to when my daughter was about 3 or 4 years old, even though I had no belief in God, I had decided that this was all wrong. I had been involved in the San Francisco scene. I had cast charts. I had been involved with all of the different New Age movement happenings. I decided that my daughter should have the right to make up her own mind. So I sought out the best evangelic church in the area to send her to the preschool. And during this time, the church had this outstanding outreach program. And what they did is they went to the families of the children who were in the preschool. They turned to Barbara, who was sitting by my side, and asked her what she believed. And she said, well, yeah, I believe in Christ, and I pray. And I almost fell out of the chair. I had never heard this from her. She had never said anything. She had never professed anything. And it really hit me. And when they left, I literally bit my tongue to keep from asking the offenders to pray for me, because I knew what was going to happen and I wasn't ready yet. And she told me that God had told her that I would come back, that I knew too much about God, and I was too steeped in God to stay away for very long. But it was her prayers and her faithfulness and her belief and going forth that I believe really brought me back. She was in a wheelchair by this time, and even though she was in a wheelchair, she went on to become a teacher in the Sunday school. She was a fabulous person. We shared a lot of great memories together. We did a lot of great things despite the wheelchair, despite the handicaps. We were able to go to church, and at one point we changed to a church nearby the home, and I would push her in the wheelchair and we would go every Sunday morning to church, and it was a great time. We moved up to Hillsborough in 1988. And at that time, she had been diagnosed with progressive multiple sclerosis, and she was slowly but incrementally getting worse. A lot of people asked me as she got really bad and things got worse, how it was I managed to stay and endure this. So many men left their wives when they reached that point. My answer was because I took a vow before God, for better or for worse. I didn't say for better. I said for better or for worse. I said in sickness and in health. I didn't say in health. And I was not going to leave this woman that I loved. And in 2005, she went into a hospital bed and was there most of the time for the remaining 10 years. On Friday, February 14th, 45 years from the day I asked her to marry me, she went to be with the Lord. And we rejoiced in that because we knew that now she was walking on the streets of heaven. She was there with her father and her relatives, that we would see her again. And so, yeah, I'm still sad over what happened. and sad over her loss, but I rejoice in the victory that she had and her love of God and the way God had blessed us in our marriage for those 45 years.